The Asian Avengers, so weak.
The Asian Avengers, so weak, so fuckable, bro. You know? Whoa. There's 5 Asian guys together. Wow.
Together. Did you ever go through a stealing phase?
Do I think everyone should have a gun? Maybe.
Or you can look me up. I don't care. I'll fight you. I don't care.
You want to get high as fuck? You like opium?
Okay, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Asian Not Asian Podcast, the podcast where 2 Asian guys not from Asia talk about American issues no American cares about. I am your host, Fumi Abe.
And I'm Michael Nguyen. What up?
Today is July 18th. We are coming at you live from Brooklyn. If you are listening to this on your phones right now, please take a screenshot, post it on your Instagram stories, tag us at Asian Not Asian Pod. And if you're listening to this on your Apple Podcast app, please leave a review. They've been slowing down. We have a lot. But I want to get to like 1,000. I think we have like 630 right now. Okay. We got a bad review. We got a bad review recently complaining about the sound quality. Some guy was like, the sound is terrible, and that's why I stopped listening. Which I'm convinced that this person listened to like the first 6
yeah.
It's like the first, I counted. It's the first like, well, we didn't have the, remember when we bought the Yamaha one?
Yes.
And that was a lot better.
That was a big
one. We got that episode 7. But I remember like you and I kind of figured out an okay setup with the shitty equipment, episode 5 or 6.
Yeah.
So he only listened to like 4.
Also, I think it's hilarious when people, it's like such an internet privilege that, you know what I'm saying? It's like not even about the content. You know, it would be like if I was like, I don't like the U.S. Constitution. The handwriting is so bad. Like, this is like, that is the stupidest like comment I've ever heard. Like, okay, fine, whatever.
Well, it's straight. I mean, you know what's so interesting about podcast behavior is when people discover us, it seems they listen to episode 1 first as if this is like a story, like a fairy tale or something. We're like, but when I discover a new podcast, I don't start from 1. I start from like, I just look at like the latest 10 and I pick a title that intrigues me, and I listen from there. Like, I'm a big fan of Tiger Belly. I don't think I've ever listened to the first one. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, at this point, I mean, like, Tiger Belly's been going on for, like, however long. I mean, if you listen to him, it's like going into the past. You know, he's gonna be like, oh man, have you seen these things called cell phones? It's crazy. You know, like it's gonna be so weird to listen to. So
yeah, the iPhone 3GS just came out.
Holy shit! Wow. Yeah. I mean, I think it's cool that if people start at the beginning, but if you are about to start listening to us from the beginning, know that the first 5, it's not bad quality. It's just not like super crisp like we have now.
Also, like our balance, it's fair. Our balance is off. Like when we laugh, it is super loud. I will admit that, but just skip it. I don't think you're missing out on that much, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and then like the first 20 is just me and Fumi, and then after a while we start getting guests, and then it's downhill from there. But the first couple are really good.
Yeah, I don't know why anyone wants to start listening from episode 1, because it's like this is before Crazy Rich Asians, so you can hear the bitterness in straight Asian guys' energy. Like I mean, we're talking about like Hillary Clinton, so exciting, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like why? I don't know why you want to go back that far, but if you choose, just please know that the first 5 are bad, and we know. So just skip it if you are an audio.
Yeah, if you're listening to podcasts for the audio quality, you know, like would you imagine
audio
a guy,
queen,
right, who's just like, oh my god, dude, have you heard the audio quality on this podcast? Like, you can like hear every T and S. It's like, all right, buddy. All right, calm down.
Yeah. But today I wanted to talk a little bit. You know, it's just us today, which is awesome.
Just
haven't
us.
done this in a while, and I wanted to talk today about you know, something I've experienced at work and just in life in general, but I couldn't quite really, you know, describe it until recently, where I realized that this is a pattern that's been happening to me and people around me for the majority of my adult life. I didn't really notice it at first, but now I know that it's happening, and it's, you know, I want to talk about professionalism, okay? But as creative people. And
yeah, okay. I'm into that.
I've got a little thing laid out here, so I'll say my little thing, and then you can kind of jump in wherever. But you know, I work at Comedy Central now. I'm in this program. It's like a 9-month fellowship where we come in, and originally it was supposed to be about making a lot of like YouTube videos and sketches and acting in them. Now it's kind of shifted to like trying to make us Instagram influencers, because like everything is remote now. You know, we can't film with everybody, so we have to film everything at home, which is fine. I'm still getting paid to like make funny videos and pitch stuff in the room for bigger Viacom campaigns, and like it's cool. But I've noticed that, like, you know, it's still, you know, this is my first comedy job, and Mike, you've never had a comedy job either, and I don't know what to expect, right? But it's still owned by Viacom. It's still owned by CBS. There are actually a lot of similarities between like some of the things I have to do for this job and the stuff I did for my previous jobs at advertising agencies and marketing companies. Just because it is a company with like desks and computers and a process, right? It's just like if you have a company, if one day we own a company, we're still gonna have to. There's gonna be some similarities between what we'll do then and like some internship you had, just because it's a fucking company, right? So there's things that come up like, hey, you know, if you film a video, please upload your footage to this thing because we have to legally back it up because it's our property now or whatever. Back up your footage, right?
Right.
And
it's like you mean like data, like your data, your like raw files need to go up to
your
a
raw
cloud.
files. Yes.
Got it.
Yes.
Got
like
it.
you don't use all of them, but like just back it up into this folder that we made for you, and then this other person like organizes it and then brings it to like the cloud or whatever. Doesn't sound like a big deal. I said sure, that makes sense. I filmed something. You guys want the footage? Sure. So I do it, and then every week they keep telling us to do it. So there's just like 5 of us. They keep telling us to do it. And this past week, like 2 days ago, we got yelled at for not doing it. Like yelled at. And I was like, what is happening? Like I did it like a month ago when you fucking asked me to. Like what is the problem?
Yeah.
And then like after we got yelled at, we have like a group Slack chat with just the people in my program. There's 5 of us. And they're like, yo, let's dish. Let's get on this Zoom call and dish. So we get on, and everybody's kind of complaining and stuff, and I find out that like no one has uploaded their footage except me.
Yeah.
And I felt really weird about it, and I this question popped into my head of like, oh, are like creative people bad workers? And I don't mean that like work as in like bad at following instructions or like I don't know. It didn't seem like such a big deal to me. But are they like? Do they just not pay attention?
Yeah.
And is this part of their secret? And I started thinking about back when I was in college, my roommate was incredible musician, incredible guitarist. We were in a band together, and I wrote songs too, but this guy wrote songs on a completely different level. And I remember like he was kind of like that sometimes, where like, we were in a band, so we would like people would contact us to get booked and stuff, and he wouldn't always like respond on time, and we would like lose booking opportunities, and sometimes he'd get like really emo, and he just couldn't play guitar for like 3 months. Like I just remember he was like very, it's almost like he had sacrificed all these things to become an amazing guitarist. So there were all these obstacles for him to play guitar. And then I was like thinking about, my friend works at Hulu, and he told me when they first pitched Rami, Gerard Carmichael is the executive producer.
Okay.
And he, Hulu, again, is a company, and they would have to have meetings because it's an investment on their part. And he told me that Gerard Michael would come 3 hours late to every single fucking meeting. He did not give a fuck. Every single meeting, he would come 3 hours late. So then, I know I'm just talking about people uploading footage, but I was like, oh, is this like, am I just too much of a good boy to like be good at comedy? Like, is this a thing in the creative people world? Like, are they just... I don't know if they're doing it on purpose. I don't know if they can't do it. I don't know what's going on, but it's a pattern that I'm noticing. And I don't know, it seems like you have some thoughts about it. So yeah, like what do you think about all that?
I think it's interesting too because you're the only Asian person, the only Asian creative person, right? You might even be the only Asian person you see from day to day, right?
It's me and Jordan.
Oh, see you and Jordan. Okay, Jordan's there too. So and Jordan is I love the guy, but he's also kind of like a frenetic, crazy person in a way,
Yeah.
And I totally hear you because I bring up the Asian thing just because like I feel like Asian people were like,
it's relevant for sure.
Well, we're very good at like, oh, you want me to do this thing? Okay, sure. we'll follow the rule because it's like this makes sense and people told us to do it, and in general like it makes. My family had rules, and this is I'm not a rule breaker. I'm definitely not that kind of person. I am not like I think I could probably count on my hands the number of times I got in trouble in school, like from like kindergarten all the way up through college, 5 times or something when I got in trouble for doing something, and each time I felt terrible about it. I mean, I felt like, oh, I'm so sorry, blah blah blah, and. I think that's just maybe that's my personality. Maybe it's an Asian thing. Whatever. This is also interesting because you always hear comedians say like, "Oh, I have to do comedy because I'm not good at anything else." Do you hear that all the time?
Yeah.
And I have mixed feelings about that because one, usually comedians, this is like the first thing they've ever done. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm meeting a guy and he's like, oh, you know, whatever, he's 25 or whatever. And he's like, I can only do this. And I'm like, the only other job you had was like, you know, like working at
or something.
Yeah, like working at a movie theater. Like, I mean, I don't know what, you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, you're bad. Most people are bad at things until you get later on, like in life. But at the same time, I do understand because I'm a lot like that. I'm very, I'm very scatterbrained. I'm very, you know, like if a manager, like my manager right now at work is very good and he knows how to manage me. He knows that like I can like wander off, you know, in my mind, and not do, you know, some, you know, more trivial things that need to happen. Because I'm just like, you know, I get bored easy, and instead I start going on Twitter and I start tweeting and shit like that, right? I think part of it is like, that's why you hire creative people, right? You hire creative people because we're kind of like manic, we're a little bit like all over the place, and we have all sorts of stupid ideas, right? Like, you know, we're the only people in the room who, when the building's on fire, we're like still kind of thinking how funny it is, right? Like, oh man, you know, like we hated this place anyways, right? This is great. So I think there's part of that. But to your point, you know, I've spent my whole life and I'm going to spend the rest of my life doing like regular work jobs. And I'm trying to figure out, do you think it's because they're comedians? Do you think it's because they're creative? Do you think it's because they're just young people? Sometimes young people are just bad at things.
Well, they're not all that young. There's one girl who's like, I'm 22. I've only nannied. This is my first job.
There you
she's
go.
She's also an Instagram star. So her, like, I guess I kind of understand, like, you know, maybe she just doesn't. I don't know. Maybe she's not good with computers, even though they showed us how to fucking do it. I don't know. It just maybe I could see how, like, no, it's not even about the uploading. I could see how she may be a little bit more apathetic towards everything just because she's just younger and maybe haven't had a job where you learn responsibility. I sound like a fucking dad right now. I sound so fucking lame.
Yeah.
Like but it's weird because I don't want to be lame, but it's like it's all I know, and
No,
I don't, and I refuse to. You know, for a while I was like, maybe that's just how creative people are. But then like I started comedy and I met people who are like me. Where like I met the Karen Cheese and like the Rami Youssef, right? Rami, I've heard rumors that this is the guy who wakes up 6 a.m, and writes 2 hours in every morning, right? He's very regimented, and like you see why he's so successful because he just has his shit together, and he's like, this is my product. This is boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
Like yes, people invested in him. But there's a reason why people trusted him with their money, right? It's like, oh, this kid's gonna get his shit done. Karen Chi, same thing. Like, very hard worker. Mary Beth Barone, similar thing. Like, I've seen her Google Docs. I'm like, oh, you're just like me. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So like, you know, I don't buy that like everybody's like that. Obviously,
Yeah.
there are different ways people. Yeah, I mean, I don't even think it's a creativity thing. I think it's the way your brain works, or maybe just the way you were raised. But like, when you're getting paid and someone asks you to do something, it just goes everything against my life philosophy to be like, no, unless I truly like think it's incorrect.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think you hit it on the head. I mean, I feel like, I guess when I try to bring up like that creative people should be this or non-creative people should be this, I think that's kind of bullshit. I don't like it when comedians say I could never do another job. You could do another job. I guarantee you could do it. Like if you really had to, you could become an actuary. I hate it when people like limit themselves to, I'm a creative person, I have to do this. At the same time, I feel like there's a lot of ways to do things. That I don't think there's. I also don't like it that if you're a comic, you have to be an alcoholic or something like that. I don't like that. You have to be. Oh, I'm a road dog, and I'm divorced, and I don't talk to my kids because I'm so fucked up. That's a fucked up mentality because that limits who can do comedy to certain people, right? That means then like people like you or people like me are like, oh well, maybe I shouldn't be a comedian. And you know, we've been in this game for a little while now, and I see all these people who maybe fit that stereotype, kind of like a messy person who's trying to do comedy. But you know what? I'm not that, and I am also as funny as you are. Like there's whole thing is. I don't buy it. I feel that whenever people say you should be like this or you should be like this, then that's someone saying that's like a gatekeeper that says, oh, you're not you don't wake up at 1 in the afternoon and cheat on your girlfriend, you're not going to be a good comic. Like, that's bullshit to me. I think that's bullshit. Like, that's just your way of doing it. You want to fuck up your life so you can be funny? Fine. You know what? That means that's why a lot of comedy is a certain way and sounds a certain way, right? Like, I mean, how many comedy shows have you been to or shows on TV sound the same, right? It's just like a guy, a comedy dude who's like kind of fucked up and he's writing all these different characters, right? Like, they all sound the same because it's all the same person. But, you could be funny, and I mean, we don't have, like, you and I have been joking about how come there's no like finance jokes, like there's no... like, finance is hilarious, but like, in order to do it, to do that kind of niche thing, you can't just be like, I'm gonna wake up at 1 in the afternoon and like fuck up my life. You gotta like, you kind of have to have a different way of thinking about it, whatever that is. So I think that's totally cool. However, you wanted to, like, you're a very regimented person. I've had to step up I'm not like that. I have to step up my game I have to make sure like my files are uploaded because I know you got to do this. I know that
you've gotten so much better at it.
Well, I mean, I think it's important. I mean, and we're going to answer a question about that later on, but I think you have to be honest about, hey, is it ultimately, is it good for me to do the thing I'm doing, right? Like you bring up that fact, like there's that one the Instagram coworker of yours, and maybe she's not as engaged, but this is a great opportunity to work for a company and learn how to write a script. Just write a script and pitch it. Like, that's a really important skill to have for whatever job you want to do. And I hate to say it, but this always reminds me of that Louis bit where he meets teenagers and teenagers don't want to do their job. When they're like a fry cook or something, or like just do the job. It's always better
because you're fucking 20. You have nothing to contribute to the world.
Like, you might as well just do the job. And if you don't like the job or you think it's stupid, that may be legitimate. And then maybe you should talk to your manager or get another fucking job or whatever, right? That, like, don't be a shitty worker because the job is shitty. Just get another job or something like that. Control what you can control. But
I just, like, I've witnessed a lot of this in my life, and you were interesting because I saw a little bit of both.
Yeah.
Like, you do have your, like, but that you like kind of wander off because you get bored easily or whatever. Yeah. But you also, I don't know if it's because you're Asian or because you got good grades. Like, I can expect a certain level of like respect from you if I ask something, or like vice versa, right? Like, if you ask me to do something, I will respect your, orders or your request because we have a thing together, right? Yeah. Or like, we're friends, or you know what I mean? Like, but because at this company, like, so like people are so blatantly not doing things, like not submitting stuff on time, like just not working, and they're getting paid, and like I got to a point where, like, is this the American way? And is everything I was like, is everything I was taught about apathy wrong? Like, when I was taught that apathy is not okay. It's not funny. It's not cool. Maybe I'm wrong. Like, no, maybe like
you really that's now we're interesting. That's like, really interesting.
That's why, right? Like, I'm at the point where, like, because I've had to unlearn a lot of stuff I've learned in my life to become who I am today, and I like who I am today, and I'm just wondering, like, is this just another thing I gotta unlearn? Because maybe like I don't know, like, obviously you have to care about some stuff, but maybe you should be really picky about what you care about. I don't know, like
I totally hear it, but it's funny because that's why I was asking about if people are young, because like when I was in my 20s, I was new in New York, and I would go to these parties, and I would like fashion parties. Like, I was trying to get into that world. And it's so funny that you say apathy, because like I always felt those parties, and even now to a certain extent, like everyone is just trying to be as apathetic as possible. Like, everyone, I feel, especially cool people in New York and in like the big cities, I'm sure our listeners know, like, if you're trying to be cool, you're just trying to be like, ugh, I don't care about, like, whatever. Like, everything, like, doesn't matter. Like, the person could be on fire, and it's like, ugh, I'm so hot. Like, It doesn't.
Yeah.
It doesn't like. And I don't know. I think. I of course there's all sorts of different reasons why you might be apathetic. To me, now that I've kind of gone through that and I've, we're doing our thing, I feel apathy is a sign in my mind of insecurity, because if you feel like you don't care, then that thing can't hurt you, right? But and I agree. I mean, I think if you're truly apathetic about something, then that thing shouldn't be in your life. That's just wasting time. If you hate something, that's better than being apathetic, because if you hate it, then you should get out of that. But if you're just like whatever about it, that's just taking up space. That's just like a big box in the room. You need to get it out of there. But I feel like, I mean, I don't know. You care a lot. I care a lot. I have shit riding on my life. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's consequences. If I stop working, I can't go home. You know what I'm saying? Me and my wife will just be homeless. I'm sorry. I have to care about that. And I think that, this is my jam. But I am also not cool. Okay. I know that being cool is very important. Okay, I understand. You know what I'm saying? Like, you kind of think about your parents. Your parents are definitely not apathetic. They care a lot, but they're not cool. So you kind of have to choose a little bit. Which one do you want? You know what I'm saying? And I've chosen. I understand. Look at these. Look at this dad hat. I'm wearing Crocs now. I'm not cool, but I care. What do you think about it? I mean, do you feel like? Do you ever feel like that? I feel like sometimes people are like, oh, whatever, I don't care. But then like they're emo, man.
Yeah, I mean, okay, I understand apathy might be part of the game, sure. That's fine. I think looking cool can be a brand, but maybe it's a privilege, because to your point, like, subconsciously, maybe why I care is because I know this job ends in December, and if I could just if I can just do anything to extend that to like March or April, that's money, right? I have to pay rent. I just moved to a place that's more expensive than you know what I mean? Like, I want to stay alive. I don't, like, I know it sounds crazy, but like, there is a survival instinct, and I don't know what's not cool about wanting to stay alive. Can I not come to your party because I want to like eat? I'm sorry, like, I'm hungry. I don't have rich parents. I'm sorry, like, I can't. Maybe that's what it is. It's like, if my parents had fuck you money, Mike, you don't understand. I would not be the person I am today. I would not give a fuck about anything. I would start 7 podcasts, quit them the next week. Yeah. Like, and I would probably have like a huge following, because people are like, how does he just do that? Yeah. He just starts 7 podcasts a week and leaves everybody, hurts people's feelings. I don't care, but that's not the situation I was born in. Also, it fucks me up a little bit because, I've always been, I know what kind of creative person I am, and I think in terms of like raw talent, I'm like in the 25th percentile, but in terms of like
work hardness,
like hardworkingness, I'm like probably 90th percentile, and so it like, I would agree with that. Evens out, and like that's why I know, dude. We know so many comics that are funnier than us. They don't have anything. Yeah, they don't have anything, right? And so like that's why, like, okay, cool. Like, I got a JFL audition last year, right? Like, that was a big, JFL's canceled, so that's that. But just to be on the stage with other industry people, other comedians that I respect, like, that was a very big, a mark for me, right? Yeah. And I got there because it's not because I promise you, it's not because I'm funnier than these other people. Okay, it's because I know that I worked harder. I didn't go to birthday parties. I canceled on weddings. You know what I'm saying? Like, I did all these things. It's not just sacrificing, but like I tried really hard because I really wanted it. Like, and for someone to be like, haha, that's dumb. that hurts me. It's like, well, fuck you, man. Like, what's wrong with wanting something? You know what I mean?
I mean, I think to kind of bring it back to the Asian, not Asian angle of this, is that I think a lot of Asian people, we feel this because, hey, we study, the stereotype, but, a lot of us do. We study hard, and then we go to good schools, and then we go into professions. But then the feeling you get is that other people seem to be able to leapfrog over you without having to seem to have done the work. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I think a very Asian way of doing something was to just pour mad hours at it, right? Like, you could be, like, hey, I want to be a successful, dude, I'm going to study really hard and I go to law school and I pour mad hours at the law and study the bar and I work really hard, all these things. And then you sometimes get the sense that like other people can become more successful than you just by being like, I don't know, a personality. You know what I'm saying? I always feel like when I was younger, like it didn't matter how hard I worked because the white dude who went to Thailand for 6 months has a cool story, like that was like that's the other way around, you know what I'm saying? Like, oh, I'm sorry, I went to college and I went to Berkeley and this other guy, went to Florida State and then like fucked off for a year, but that's like cool experience and that he gets the job before you do. So it's I think for Asian people we sometimes realize that like hard work can take you far, but the rules are not set up after, I think, for like, it's not like a video game where you put in 10,000 hours, you're going to become level 100.
Like level up.
Yeah, level 100 paladin.
Yeah.
I do think there is that. I'm not saying you shouldn't work hard, of course. Like, you put in your 10,000 hours, you're definitely going to have skill, but like, that's not going to be the only thing that's going to carry you up. And it's got to be all these other things. And those are things that are like for Asian Americans, we don't know. They're harder to quantify. Our parents never told us about like, hey, don't forget to like go to that mixer, and don't forget to like network and do all those things. Because for us, it was just always like, let's hit the books or whatever. That's sort of like, I've always wanted to ask this question is that how come you work really hard? You have this tenacious way of doing things and you're very smart, and I always wonder how come you didn't go to a better school. Like, don't get me wrong, NYU is a fine school. It's a fine school, but it's not Columbia, it's not Cornell, it's not Berkeley, it's not Stanford. Like, and I sit there and I'm like, I think you're as smart as I am, you work way harder than I do. And I'm like, how come you didn't go to like, similarly, I guess besides the comedy thing, but like, yeah, I guess that's the first question. Like, how come you're not more successful, Fumi?
This is so funny. What are you doing here?
You know what I'm saying? But at the very least, I thought like, did you not get good grades in high school? You did, right?
I did. Okay, so two things. One, I think I'd said this before, but I'm only as good as like I work hard because in New York everybody's working hard, and that inspires me. I see our friend Julia Shiplett on HBO. She's acting now in Anna Kendrick's new show.
That's awesome.
I see that. I see my friends getting. My friend writes for Atlanta for Childish Gambino. I see that, and I'm like, I want to be that. I want those things. I think I can have those things. Let me, that motivates me. My friends motivate me, right? But my high school, it wasn't like a bad school, but like it was unheard of that you would go to an Ivy League school.
That is so interesting.
So already my parents and me were just like, okay, like you'll probably just go to Ohio State, So like going to NYU was like, oh wow, like you're not like the rest of them. That's crazy.
Oh, I see.
And it's not an Ohio thing. It was just my school district. There are other school districts that were like, a couple kids get into Harvard. That's normal. A couple kids go to Johns Hopkins, whatever. My school, like my year, my valedictorian went to Ohio Northern University. You've never heard of that.
What? Northern though?
That's Ohio Northern University.
That's the Stanford of Northern Ohio.
Dude, and then like our number 2, her name was Tiffany Yang. She's now a doctor. I remember it was a big deal because she got a perfect at her SAT. She would volunteer and go to Taiwan every summer to teach English.
Yeah.
Pretty, very charismatic. She played lacrosse. Like everybody liked her. I remember when she got rejected from Harvard. Everybody at her school was like, "Well, no one can go there because she's the smartest person we know."
Yeah,
and she can't get in. Right, so it's like it's just like I think a lot of those schools kind of look at like high schools have levels, right? So like if you get a 3.5 at like the top high school, there's a lot of good public high schools. If you get a 3.5 at like Stuyvesant High School in New York City, that's worth a lot more than like a 4.2 what I had at my fucking high school, where it's like inflated because I took an AP class and I got like a B+, which is basically an A+. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's because it's weighted, right? So there's that aspect of it. And second of all, like I became like this probably what comedy actually taught me to work harder.
Interesting.
Like I didn't really care about. I mean, like I cared. I studied hard and stuff, but like, you know, I wasn't like. I guess I didn't. I learned how to work hard because I found something that I really liked. Something I liked more than music. Music was like my first love, and even that I thought I liked it, but then I discovered comedy, and I was like, oh, I guess I didn't even like her that much. You know what I mean? Like,
interesting.
It was like, in fact, I quit. I quit guitar. You know, which
Right.
is like, if you'd talk to 16-year-old Fumi, that's like an impossible scenario. I always thought I'd be like a cool dad, 40, in like some garage band. You know, that was like, I always thought I'd be playing in a band forever, and here I am. I haven't played guitar in like years, right? So like, it's weird because had I found this passion when I was younger, I may have been like a doctor or something, you know?
Yeah.
Like, but I found it through comedy, unfortunately. So now I'm like spending all this time and energy trying to like write a butt joke and put it on TV instead of like saving somebody's life.
Where did Tiffany Yang end up going?
She went to Ohio State, full ride.
Really? Oh, okay. She got a full ride. That's nice.
For undergrad. And then she went to, what's the really good school in Tennessee? Is it Vanderbilt?
I don't know.
It's a private school. She went there for her
med school
master's, and now she's a doctor.
Oh, I see. See, I mean, you know, I think that's another thing that your expectations, like the people you hang out with, are the people who you end up kind of emulating, and you know what I'm saying? Like, I totally understand. I mean, like at my high school, like, sure, was I smart? Yeah, I guess so. But it was more that people expected me to be smart. My parents did, and other people did. And like, you know, I was in the honors classes. Like a lot of Asian kids in my school. Well, of course, all of us were like, it was a no-brainer that we would go to a good college. Like, you know, maybe we weren't all going to go to Harvard, but some of us could. And it was like, it was in the realm of possibility if you just worked hard enough. That was like always like hung over our heads. And a couple of people did go, like one or two people did go to Harvard, and some people went to Stanford, and I think one kid went to Princeton, and a bunch of us went to UCLA and Berkeley and stuff like that. And I guess that's going back to sort of our earlier conversation about like, you know, expectations and that sort of thing. It's like, if people expect you to do a certain thing, you'll be surprised how much you can do it. You know what I'm saying? If you just tell yourself, "Oh, I'm a shitty person and I don't deserve these things," or if I'm a messed up comedian and I'm going to become an alcoholic or something like that, you end up following those things. They become a self-fulfilling prophecy in a lot of ways, and you know, that's why I think if people are put into certain situations, trust me, you can do it. Like you know, there's no doubt in my mind that if I plucked Fumi and put him into like uni high school in Irvine, where everyone was expected to go to Stanford, and you know, then Fumi would also expect himself to go to Stanford, and absolutely blow that opportunity. But you know, like I think that's the thing. You know, our sort of big thesis for this episode, I think, is like, you know, don't limit yourself to saying that, you know, there's one way to do a certain thing. You know, like if you're a creative person, you might be a creative person that is like up at 6 a.m. and working on their bits and sketching all the time and doing their thing. Or you might be a creative person who, you know, you wake up late and you come 3 hours late to a meeting, but you know, you're really, really good, and you know that might balance out. So you know,
if you deliver,
then if you deliver,
man. I mean, but the thing, I think that's where Asian people get caught up, is that expectation thing. So like, a lot of Asian people, they finish their story. Like if our lives were a book, they finish their story. Like college is like the second to last chapter. Right?
Whereas, for sure.
Whereas I was like, no. Like this is where this is chapter 1, bitch. You know what I'm saying? So it's like NYU was chapter 1 for me. So like, I think a lot of for Asian people, you know, they say, well, I didn't go to the best school, so I guess I can't be a doctor, and I guess I'll just be a used car salesman. They like give up, right? But like, I didn't have that mentality. I moved here. That's the thing. I know comedy is such a dumb profession, but like, you know, we meet people like X Mayo, who is so smart. She
Very
didn't even
smart.
go to college, right? She didn't go to college. So like I met people like that, and they weren't just comedians. I met people in New York who were just like, yeah, I didn't go to college, but I did this. You know, yeah, I did go to college, but I completely. You know, you too. Like I tried to be a doctor, but now I'm a copywriter. I met a lot of people like you guys, where I'm just like, oh, I'm 18. Like why am I? why would I like think that this is the second to last chapter of my life?
That's such
I don't
a good
give
point.
a fuck. I could be a doctor right if I fucking wanted to. I don't want to, but I fucking could, right? So
yeah.
I think I was fortunate enough to like come to that realization myself, and I think that's why I was able to like grow in my 20s. You know, like whereas like 10 to 18, I was like still kind of assimilating to America, and like, you know, my parents kept being like, we might move back to Japan next year, so like, you know, I had to study a lot of Japanese too, and it was just it was a confusing time. But now, you know, 18, I'm here, I got a green card, now I'm a citizen, like I'm gonna be here. Once that was said, I was like, okay, I'm gonna do my thing. So yeah, like I think if anybody's out there, like, you know, to your point, like the expectation thing, like, you know, where chapter 1 is in your life is like you decide that. You don't let your parents decide that. Don't let your boss decide that. Your parents, your friends, like you fucking decide, and then you fucking write that story. You know.
Damn, that's such a good insight about the college thing, because you're right. I definitely felt that, like, you know, I got into college, you know, I remember I got into a good school, and I was like, yes, this is what's up. This is going to be good, and everything's going to be cool. And things like kind of fell apart for me in college. and honestly, it's funny because if, you know, you have the Asian Playbook, right? The Asian Playbook is
the Asian Playbook.
You know what I'm saying? Is like tennis. Study hard, get a 4.5, you know, SAT, volunteer just a little bit, you know. Those are the things. Those are in the playbook, and then you get into college, and the playbook in college is kind of the same thing, except just more intense. You know, maybe you're maybe you're in crew. Don't have that too much. Just remember to get into med school, because that's the part of the playbook, or into law school or whatever. If you're an engineer, that's too. You know, you could do that as well. Like that's the playbook. And what's interesting is that if you get off the playbook, there's nothing. There's no net at all. There's like, you know, when you're playing Mario Kart and, you know, you're playing Rainbow Road.
The Rainbow Road, bro.
That one's crazy, bro. Okay. That's what's like being an up, you know, like a middle-class Asian American dude. For me, I was like on the Rainbow Road, and then I fell off. But instead of like the little cloud guy picking me up and putting me back on the thing, I just fell off. And there's no coming back from it. And that's why it is freaky, because I remember, I mean, even to this day, I'm kind of still wrestling with it. Like, if you get off of, you know, from age 5 to 20, I was like, I'm going to go to med school. And as soon as I realized I wasn't going to, because of, I was stupid, not because I didn't want to, I'm dumb, then I was like, I was off the Rainbow Road, and I was just like spinning around in space. And it's just like, there's no playbook after that. And that's what I think is so appealing to be on the road is at least you know what's gonna happen. You know, I understand. I mean, to this day, I fantasize. I'm like, maybe I should go back to med school. Brian Park, he's off the Rainbow Road too.
You're right.
And here's the thing: is like you're falling in space, and you're like, well, maybe I could just like get back on the road somehow. If somebody hooked me...
where's that cloud guy?
Where's that cloud guy? If the cloud guy came and picked me up and put me back on Rainbow Road, I would be, okay, I'll just drive this, I guess. At least I know. And I understand the appeal of it, for sure. You know, like... if you don't, you know, you don't have the... now you're not even playing Mario Kart anymore. You're playing Smash Brothers all of a sudden.
Right.
You have no idea what the fuck's going on.
This was a very motivational episode. I feel like we could sell this.
I don't know. I mean,
I mean it, bro. Sometimes we talk about butt stuff, but sometimes we talk about career stuff, and it's real, bro.
I mean, I feel like that's really where my talents lie. Is really in hyping people up. Like the comedy thing, like I'm okay funny, but am I motivational? Fuck yeah, you know. That's where
so
I should
funny.
focus on.
You know, when we went to like, you know, we worked with some like college people who like provide their students with like cool multicultural programming.
Yeah,
I always think, you know, I met that lady. I forgot her name. I met that lady in North Carolina State University.
Yeah,
remember her?
Yeah, so nice.
The Mexican lady.
Yeah.
I forget. I remember after I met her and I saw like how much the students loved her and stuff. I was like, you know, like if I quit comedy, like maybe I'll just do that. That sounds like a really like that. I would love to help out college students and like bring them more culture or whatever it is, some like shit that I didn't have. You know what I'm saying? Like that seems like a very honorable job to me.
Yeah, I mean, I that's what I looked into doing that for a while.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was like, okay, I need. It's so fun. I was like, I need to get. It helps to have a master's degree in that kind of field. And there's such a thing. I remember at UCLA, there's a master's of student advising, like whatever it is, right? It's kind of like an education master's, and it's like a year or two long or whatever. And I remember I was like, oh, okay, maybe I should do this. I should get into this. And I had some work experience, and so I remember looking into it, and it was like, oh, you need to have like a certain GPA and stuff like that. And of course, my GPA is terrible, right? And I was like, fuck, And this goes back to the whole thing, what I was saying, which is, if you're, I wish, the one thing I kind of wish in college was that I wish that I had just worked harder. I mean, it's hey, I'm just a proponent of just learning. You might as well. Here's the thing: you pay for the D or you pay for an A. It's the same price.
Yes.
If you get a D, it still costs you 30 grand. Yeah. It's not like if you go to college and you fail a bunch of classes, they're not going to be like, oh, hey, you know what? Here's your money back. No.
Yeah.
You might as well get the A. You just get the A. You already paid for it. And I feel like if I, hey, you work harder, and it's important just to learn for learning's sake. But if you get good grades, hey, it also opens up more opportunities. And then I could have gone into this master's program or something. It just gives you more things. It goes back to, if you're in this thing, if you're in a comedy job, just do the thing, because you got the money, and now you might as well get the experience, and then you also have the connections, and people don't think you're a piece of shit. There's no real downside.
People talk, if you're like a shitty employee, they talk, right?
I don't know. We're basic Asians, though. That's the thing.
This is so funny, because I feel like now our listeners are like, wait, this is not a this is the moment we quit comedy and become advisors.
Yeah. I'm into that, man.
All right. I think this is a good episode. Thank you so much to our anals for listening. As always, please follow us on Instagram at Asian.AsianPod. Donate to us on our Patreon, patreon.com/Asian.AsianPod. We got a lot of cool rewards on there, including us sliding into your DMs and giving a shout out on the podcast. We also have a weekly comedy show called Hack City. Now it's on Zoom. It's every Fridays at 8 p.m. Eastern. Just go to our website, Asian.AsianPod.com, and you can get free tickets there. And you can also follow me and Mike on the social medias. I'm on there at the Fumi Abe. That's TheFumiAbe.
You can find me on Instagram at Nice Pants Bro. Although, funny thing, I'm thinking about changing my Instagram handle.
Oh yeah, to what?
Just to It's Mike Nguyen.
Oh yeah, why? It's simpler.
I don't know. I just feel like I need some sort of brand synergy, like you got, because I've got all these different ones.
I mean, Nice Pants Bro is fine, but I would just make it the same.
That's
all
same.
It is.
Yeah, I agree.
That's what synergy is. I think it's fine to have like a funny thing. It just has to be the same, so people can find you on all platforms.
That's the thing. Is that like somebody took Nice Pants Bro on Twitter, and then somebody took that also on TikTok. So I'm like all these different things on different places.
Oh, I see.
But nobody. I think it's Mike Nguyen is open on all of them. So maybe I should just squat on them. Maybe that's what I'll do.
No, but then all the people listening to like catching up on old episodes or whatever, they're gonna try to find you and they can't find you.
Well, I mean, one thing that is nice is my SEO is okay. If you spell my name MIC Nguyen and then put comedy, I'm like the first guy along with this other dentist. But like that should be okay.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Consistency, hard work. That's what this is all about.
Hard work.
Work hard. SEO. Forget jokes. It's all about search engine optimization. Okay. Anyways,
right.
that's it.
That's it. We'll see you guys next week. Thank you for listening. Bye.
Bye.